There was a stipulation. They felt pretty comfortable after day 2, until their case was tested on day 3. Now is the time to end this. Now is the time to hear the closing arguments. Now is the time to vote your conscience. Thank you.
Mr. Raskin?
We were involved in no discussions about a stipulation, and I have no further comment. Thank you, Mr. President.
Position on that.
I would remind everybody, as Chief Justice Roberts noted on January 21st, 2020, citing the trial of Charles Swain in 1905, all parties in this chamber must refrain from using language that is not conducive to civil discourse. I listened to Chief Justice Roberts say that. I agreed with him.
Flow car download
For
19.25.
our colleagues, I would repeat it as I did last night. So the question we have before us is whether it shall be in order to consider and debate under the rules of impeachment any motion to subpoena witnesses or documents. The request for the yeas and nays has been made. Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. There is. The
Clear inside 16.73.
Ms. Motley.
Car inside. Clear.
Mr. Barrasso.
Low car up high.
Mr. Bennett.
For those tuning in this morning and expecting to see perhaps 3 to 4 hours of closing arguments in the impeachment trial and then a vote, perhaps a curveball has been thrown this morning. We see that the House impeachment managers now want to subpoena and depose Representative Jamie Herrera Beutler after developments that came in overnight. Let's go right to Capitol Hill. ABC's Casey Hunt. So Casey, maybe walk us through the developments we've seen here in the last few minutes and what we're seeing right now, what this vote is right now, and how things might move forward.
So, Joe, I actually am very interested to hear what we're actually getting from the senators on this vote. This is a very unexpected development, big picture. We had not thought that there were going to be witnesses called in this trial. Both sides seemed ready to wrap it up, and in fact, there had been an expectation that even by this afternoon, it was possible that they would be holding a final vote here. But instead, something that played out last night has caught the attention of the House impeachment managers, and it's questions about a phone call that the House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy made to President Trump on the day of January 6th. And Congresswoman Jamie Herrera Beutler, who was one of those who voted to impeach President Trump, she's a more moderate member of the House Republican Conference that, of course, handled this initial impeachment proceeding, put out a very unusual statement last night where she said she essentially disputed the idea that former President Trump was not aware that people were in danger. There were expletives used in this phone call, and she says that if anyone else has additional information about this, to come forward with it now would be the time. And so what the House managers have said, after some significant pressure from particularly progressives and liberals online, but also some members of the body, including some people like Senator Angus King, who is not necessarily considered to be one of the more liberal or fire-throwing members of the Democratic caucus. He's actually officially an independent. Have said that, well, perhaps there should be more information heard here. So right now they're voting on whether or not to call those witnesses. And like I said, we're going to have to listen carefully to the vote count because we really don't know what's going to happen here and how this is going to play out. Now, the lead impeachment manager, Jamie Raskin, said at the top of this that they want to do a very fast deposition, 1 hour on Zoom, which suggests perhaps they're still trying to turn it around today. Like I said, there has been a real interest in not letting this trial drag out for days or weeks because everyone wants to move on. Republicans want to stop talking about the former president. Democrats want to get on with passing current President Joe Biden's agenda. So the outcome of this vote is going to be critical because it's going to say whether or not there is, in fact, another piece of this trial and raise all of these questions about how to handle that. It's not impossible that we could still finish this weekend if, in fact, they do call witnesses, but it would be a pretty unusual step. And again, just to underscore for our viewers, we were not expecting any of this to happen, so we're watching it right along with everybody else and trying to report it out in real time, Joe.
That's exactly the case. Let's bring in White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell, who is also watching this. And I'm guessing we don't have a response at this moment from President Biden, but we know that the president wanted this Senate trial to move as quickly as possible so he could focus on his COVID agenda and sort of moving the country forward. Do we have any idea or insight on how the president and the White House might be responding to what we're seeing unfold this morning?
Well, to set expectations, let's move the bar down because President Biden is not expected to weigh in on this. And top officials have told us that they have not been coordinating with any of the Democrats on Capitol Hill about these issues that are unfolding in front of us, about the matter of witnesses or the impact on how it could delay. Having said that, there's also been no secret about where President Biden stands. He would like to be focused on his own first 100 days, not a second trial of Donald Trump. And to do that, he needs the attention of senators, House members too, to deal with things like COVID relief and the urgencies that surround that. Now, there is a somewhat of an ability to walk and chew gum on Capitol Hill. But let's be honest about how an impeachment trial takes the oxygen and the political muscle and directs it back to this set of events and not so much on what President Biden wants to do. He is at Camp David this weekend, his first time there as president, and we expect that what he would want to see out of this is to watch these senators vote their conscience, and he said he's very curious to see how they will handle this, but pointing out he's no longer a member of the Senate. Joe?
We are getting to the end of the alphabet right now. Senators are voting on whether to call witnesses, which means a whole new phase of this trial would begin, and we're still uncertain exactly how that would unfold. But let's take a listen in right now to see if we have the final vote tally.
Senators voting in the affirmative: Baldwin, Bennett, Blumenthal, Booker, Brown, Cantwell, Cardin, Carper, Casey, Collins, Coons, Cortez Masto, Duckworth, Durbin, Feinstein, Gillibrand, Hassan, Heinrich, Hickenlooper, Hirono, Kane, Kelly, King, Klobuchar, Leahy, Lujan, Manchin, Markey, Menendez, Merkley, Murkowski, Murphy, Murray, Ossoff, Padilla, Peters, Reed, Romney, Rosen, Sanders, Sass, Schatz, Schumer, Shaheen, Sinema, Smith, Stabenow, Tester, Van Hollen, Warner, Warnock, Warren, Whitehouse, Wyden. Senators voting in the negative: Barrasso, Blackburn, Blunt, Bozeman, Braun, Burr, Capito, Cassidy, Cornyn, Cotton, Kramer, Crapo, Cruz, Daines, Ernst, Fisher, Graham, Grassley, Haggerty, Hawley, Hoven, Hyde-Smith, Inhofe, Johnson, Kennedy, Langford, Lee, Lummis, Marshall, McConnell, Moran, Paul,
One left to green.
Risch, Rounds, Rubio, Scott of Florida, Scott of South Carolina, Shelby, Sullivan, Thune, Tillis, Toomey,
About to go green. Stay
Tuberville,
focused.
Rickert, Young.
Mr. President,
The pace car is off. Be ready. Green, green, green.
I'd like to change my
20 more
vote.
laps. This time by.
Mr. Graham. Mr. Graham. Aye.
Mr. President,
Mr. Sullivan.
just a point of inquiry. There's a little confusion here. Was that a vote on one witness?
21.782.
During the vote, I advised the
Not debate, it's a
Senator
point
from
of
Alaska.
Mr. President, it's a point of inquiry on what we just voted on.
That is, I advise that is not
15.721.
allowed during the vote.
Go low. Go low.
Immediately before we start to cast.
16.346.
The points of order and debate are not allowed during the vote. That is established Senate procedure that we always follow.
15.672.
That limits it. Number subject.
15.629.
You're watching right now as senators vote on whether to call witnesses in this impeachment trial. Clearly a little bit of confusion on the Senate floor. One senator just asking, what did we just vote on? Let's bring in Casey Hunt. Casey, maybe you can help answer that question. What did they just vote on?
I'm going to do my best, Joe. And forgive me, I'm going to keep an ear on the floor because if they start talking, I'm going to let our viewers in on that. But essentially, our understanding of the rules is that they just had a majority vote on whether calling any witness would be in order in the trial. So abroad, okay, do we want to consider calling specific witnesses? Our question, and we believe what would happen next, is that there would be a vote on a specific witness to call. Now, we know that Jamie Raskin said in his remarks he wants to call Congresswoman Herrera Beutler, who, of course, is one of those House Republicans who voted to impeach Donald Trump and who has relayed new details of a call between the House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and Donald Trump on January 6th. So there was some open confusion on the floor with one senator, Dan Sullivan of Alaska, asking what they had just voted on. That was after Senator Lindsey Graham, obviously a very staunch ally of the former president, changed his vote to yes.
On
Let's listen.
the question of whether it shall be in order to consider and debate under the rules of impeachment any motion to subpoena witnesses or documents, the motion is agreed to by a vote of 55 to 45. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I suggest the absence.
Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Baldwin.
Cast off download. 2 more. Let's go. Cast off download.
All right, Casey, we'll let you kind of pick up there. We know that there was a 55-45 vote. So what was it that happened and what's next here?
Sure. So you heard Senator Leahy there presiding. He has said, or he outlined that there were 55 senators who voted that yes, they would like to allow the Senate to vote on calling witnesses in the trial. That motions to call certain witnesses are going to be in order. And you saw 5 Republicans vote with Democrats. And those are 5 Republicans. 4 of them we had expected to likely vote to convict Donald Trump. Now, Lindsey Graham, who's the 5th one on there, changed his vote at the last second. We were just talking about that to say that, yes, witnesses should be called. Remember, the 5th vote to say the trial was constitutional was Senator Pat Toomey. Toomey voted no on the witness question. So that's a little bit of an interesting discrepancy. But big picture here, and what you're seeing now on the Senate floor, they've gone into what's called a quorum call, and it sounds like they're about to start to call the roll, where they read the names alphabetically. They're just trying to buy time to figure out what's going on, is what's happening here. This is a mechanism that they use to pause business on the floor to allow senators to talk among themselves. Because one of the very strange unusual rules about impeachment trials is that senators are actually not allowed to speak. So that's why earlier you saw the senator who was trying to ask, what did we just vote on, be shut down, essentially, because they are not allowed to talk under those conditions. So putting the Senate into this procedural situation allows them to then talk among themselves, figure out what happens next and what's going on. So again, Joe, let's just reset a little bit, pull back, because when you and I sat down here to start this trial today, covering this trial, we fully expected that this was going to last from about 10 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon, maybe a couple of hours later, as both sides wrapped up their arguments, as Republicans were on track to acquit